Hey guys, so it's been a while since I posted anything, kind of going through a revamp on the YouTube, TikTok, all that type of stuff. So I wanted to start off and just kind of let everybody know that we are going to be focusing on the hunting and outdoor stuff like I talked about previously. And today is going to be the start of that. Today's video is going to be about my 2024 bow hunting setup. Now, my bow hunting setup has changed compared to what I ran last year. Last year, I hunted with a 29-inch Matthews Phase 4. I hunted with that for about a month, and then I actually switched over to shooting a Hoyt Z1S, and I was really happy with that bow. Wanted to change it up a little bit this year, and I ended up winning a bow at our Whitetails banquet this year that I was really happy with. So that's the bow we're going to go over today. We're going to go over peripherals. We're going to go over the releases I use. We're going to go over vinyl harness, the rangefinder, the binoculars I use. We're going to go over the arrow, specifically what I use, the components I use on that, and then go over kind of the broadheads that I use, and I'll give you guys the weight of the arrows that I'm going to use as well. So that being said, first thing we're going to go over is the releases that I use. So I use two different releases, and they get used in kind of tandem or get used in different situations. So the first one is one that you guys know that I've used previously. This is a Spot Hogg Wise Guy. I use a wrist mounted release when I decide to go and hunt out of a tree stand. Now, I don't hunt out of a tree stand all that often. The hunt I'm leaving for on Thursday, I'll be hunting out of a tree stand quite a bit. So this will be one that I'm going to use. Normally when I'm in a ground blind or when I'm stalking, I will use a thumb button, which is the next one we're going to. But this one, I like the fact I can flip it out of the way when I need to. It stays mounted to my wrist. I've never had any issues with it not firing or misfiring. And I like the adjustability to it to where I can set it to where I need it for myself to be able to use. And it's just an overall good backup release if my thumb button were to go missing or fail. So this always stays in my bag no matter what. But this is the release that I end up using when I'm in a tree stand. For ground blind and stock hunting, I prefer a thumb button. I have tried a few different thumb buttons throughout the year, trying to find one that I wanted to settle on, and I ended up settling on the True Ball Abyss. This release has been absolutely phenomenal. One thing I like with the thumb button release is I like a 3-finger release. I also like having the finger hole in there because it gives me a little bit more confidence that I'm not going to do something stupid if I have a bad draw and send this through my bow. I've seen it happen quite a few times this year, and that just kind of reinforced my decision on it. This is set for me. Everyone's going to be able to do it, but one thing I like about this release is the modularity on there. You can set it how you want to. If you are a die-hard fucking trigger puncher, you can set it that way, or for me, who I shoot a back tension with my target bow, I have this set up to where I would shoot it essentially as a back tension. But if I needed to, in certain situations, if I had to absolutely punch that trigger, I can if I need to on there as well. But executing the best shot, I've been able to do it with this, and so far very happy with it. The two things I don't like about this that I wish I had on here is it doesn't have a spot to put a wrist strap on. I wish I could do that. I like having my release mounted to my wrist when I'm hunting. And then the hook is fine. But I also kind of would prefer something that clamped all the way around my D-loop to where I could just leave it hang off my bow. It kind of is what it is. This guy ends up going into my vinyl harness. I'm able to tuck him in there very tightly for when I'm moving in and out of the woods. And then I'm also able to have it just where I can grab it one finger through the thumb hole and get it in my hand for if I have to execute a shot. So the True Ball Abyss has been my main release and the one that I'll use more likely than not most of the year this year. But like I said, those few circumstances where I'm in a tree stand, I am going to be using the Spot Hogg Wise Guy. Next is we'll go over the vinyl harness. So the vinyl harness that I've been running for about a year now is the Eberly stock. I believe this is called the Recon. It's a very good vinyl harness. I prefer a vinyl harness that flips forward. I don't like them when they flip back. Like an example would be the factory Vortex vinyl harnesses when you get those. I don't like them flipping back. It just pushes the vinyl harness further out on me. It's uncomfortable having that tucked behind it. So for me, I prefer one that flips forward. The Eberly stock is one that has not let me down. I like that on the sides here. It has Molly webbing on it, so I'm able to attach stuff. The Recon pouch that I use on here, I'm able to just go through and mount that with Molly. And then normally on this side, I don't have anything on it right now. Normally I'll run either a tourniquet or a Leatherman on the side here. I always have a tourniquet on me, especially out in the woods, just because something happens. I want to be able to stop that bleed pretty quickly. I don't want to have to try rifling through my bag for a medical kit. So I always try to keep a vinyl harness. It's either mounted right to my belt or it's mounted on here. I run the green because a lot of what I hunt around here kind of blends in with that. The pouch is gray. They don't make one or didn't have them available in the green when I bought that, but still fits in, still does what I need it to. And the price point on this, to be honest with you, is not that expensive. There are a lot more expensive vinyl harnesses out there. There are a lot cheaper vinyl harnesses out here. This kind of fits that happy medium. You can't really beat it for the price, in my opinion. I know quite a few people that run them. My wife runs one for her archery setup. It's just an overall very good vinyl harness. That being said, the binoculars that I'm running are the Vortex Diamondback 10x28 binos. And these may seem like a little bit small to a lot of people. That being said, for what I do around here, hunt-wise, and then for what I do out in the 3D shoots that I do, these have worked really well. They're not super expensive. I believe you can get them for right under 300 bucks. And they've done everything I need them to do. Very clear, very good binos. That being said, next year I probably will be upgrading. I'm getting ready to go out and do some elk hunting either next year or the year after, and I'm gonna want different binoculars for that. But these fit what I need them to do currently and been very happy with them. That being said, my rangefinder is also a Vortex. This is the Crossfire HD 1400. It does everything and then some. I've used the hell out of this thing this year, and it has yet to need a battery change. There's 2 batteries I'm going to change out no matter what before I go out hunting, and that's going to be my rangefinder and my scope battery. This battery I highly doubt I would even need to change out, but just to be on the safe side, I'll do it. The clarity on this is really good. It is very accurate. You compare it to higher end rangefinders and it matches those. Lower end rangefinders, it beats the hell out of them. The speed of being able to get a proper range out of this is very well. If you want to hit something 3 or 4 times to make sure you've got the right size going or the right range coming out of this, it also does that very well. Just overall very happy with this. You could say I'm a Vortex fanboy. I have been for a while. Even when I was shooting rifle and everything else, I was running Vortex pretty much everything. So very happy with that. That's the vinyl harness rangefinder setup. And as you can see, like I said, I tucked the release in there, and then I'm able to tuck it really far in where it kind of locks in a little bit better when I'm moving through the woods. Let's go into arrow setup right away, because that kind of is an important part before we get to the bow. So I am running the Easton Access Long Range 4mm. These are the match grades. Easton has been a very good arrow for me. I used to run the 6.5 match grades, but I decided to try these out, and they've been very good. Everyone would say this seems like it would be too light of an arrow, too small, everything else. They're fragile. I've put these things into a tree a couple times and never had issues with them. They've never broke, never cracked, never anything like that. I did have one where someone somehow Robin Hooded the hell out of one of these, but other than that, they've been very good and reliable. These are in a 300 spine because I'm shooting 75 pounds. I run the AAE hybrids on here. The nocks are just the factory nocks that come out of here. I don't like running lighted nocks on this small of an arrow. If I was running a 5mm 6.5, I might still. And then the half out is the aluminum half out from Easton as well. The broadheads I'm running, I am currently running the QAD Exodus broadheads. They're 125 grain broadheads. They seem to be doing pretty good. I wanted to try a fixed blade this year. There's a couple things with the mechanicals I was running I wasn't super happy with, so I figured I'd give a fixed blade a shot this year. I have no doubts these are going to be very good fixed blades. They're still sharp as hell even after practicing with them, and I have backups to be able to replace the ones that I practiced with anyways. But that's the broadhead I'm going to run this year. I like the 3-blade configuration on there, and the point seems like it's a really good point as well. This arrow, total weight is 484 grains, and that's on kind of a shitty scale. I'm willing to bet it may be a couple grains more than that, but right around 484. With the setup that I'm running on my bow and this arrow, I have no doubts I'll have clean pass-through, and these are going to do really good. When I'm shooting these, they are fucking hammering everything. So very happy with these, and that's what I'll be running for this year. So let's hop into the bow, the kind of most important part of this. I can't really kill anything if I don't have the bow and the right equipment with that running. So the bow I'm running this year is a Hoyt VTM 34. I ended up winning this off of our Whitetails banquet, like I mentioned previously. It runs the HBX Pro cams. It is currently set at 28.5-inch draw length, 75 pounds, and it's been doing absolutely phenomenal. So with that 28.5-inch, 75 pounds, and then I run 85% let off on it. So that being said, the scope setup that I'm running along with the bar that I'm running is I am running the Excel Landslide, which has been my old faithful for hunting bows for the last 2 years. Like I said, I just started hunting last year, but this year that's what I'm deciding to run. Again, it did good, and then the year before when I was just using it to target practice and learning to shoot archery, it did really well there. It has the single pin indicator on it because I am only running a single pin sight this year. The scope that I'm running is the UltraView UV3. I've run UltraView for this will be the second year. So last year I ran it and then I'm running it this year. I've had 2 of these scopes. I used to use one on a target bow. I got rid of that, and this will be my last year running an UltraView scope. There's a couple other scopes out there I'd like to try, and I've had some issues with the UltraView one. The battery tray that's in here, they use an adhesive to hold that up. That adhesive seems to give away, and I've had 3 cartridges that's happened on now. So it's not that I'm even abusing the shit out of this, it's just that's what I've had, and I don't want to keep dealing with that. So next year I'm going to try something else out. The same light that I've been running on my target bow, the Alvis Tac light, is the light that I'll end up running there. So quiver, I run the Hoyt 6-arrow quiver. Obviously it's missing one right now. That is this arrow that I pulled out to show you guys before, but I do run 6 arrows in there. That way I have plenty of backups, or if I have a chance to get multiple deer, I'm ready to go. I have a buck tag and 4 doe tags for the area that I'm going up to hunt starting next week. So that'll be good, and I like that setup. It's nice and compact in here. It stays pretty flush. It has a lot of adjustability. I could bring it in more if I wanted to, but there's a couple of things I'm not a fan of if I bring it in more, so I just leave it where it's set at. The rest that I am running is the Hamskea Hunter Pro. I used to run an Epsilon on there. My Epsilon got to the point where I couldn't do any adjustments on it. That pin that moves left and right for the rest ended up deciding to just not want to work anymore. It was bent and had some other issues, so replaced it with another Epsilon, or with another Hamskea product. The Hunter Pro seems to be doing really well. Really good bow really good to paper tune with as well. I've been very happy with that. The legs I'm running on here are the Hoyt Ghost Sticks, the 2.0s. I don't like these. I'll tell you why. So you see how I've got them sitting there? I set it down on the ground. It puts the cam into the ground or into the table or into the concrete, whatever you're setting it on. I don't like that. One of my biggest fears is that a burr develops on my cam, and when I go to shoot this, it cuts the string. That's a huge fear of mine. I've seen it happen once or twice. I just don't want that to happen. Unfortunately, that's a risk you run, and you can get that without this being the case, but I would still prefer if I was able to have it sit like that a little bit. I'm sure there's a way I could figure out how to do it, but I just don't have the time, and I don't want to have to play with it that much. So that's one thing I'm hoping that Hoyt finds a way of being able to improve on the 3.0s, but for now that's kind of what I'm running. I run a Hoyt 10-inch front stabilizer on there. I don't run a rear bar on my hunting bows. I normally don't need them. It kind of balances out pretty well in my opinion, and for my shooting. I run about 4 ounces on the front of this bar. Then I also have I call it their mini front stabilizer on there that has 2 ounces on that. So I only run about 6 ounces of weight on my front bar on my hunting rigs, compared to my target bow that has about 28 ounces on the front. So it's been running really well. I'm really happy with the way everything is set up currently. This bow's been good. I'm still running the factory Hoyt strings. I'm about 4,000, maybe more shots out of this bow, which is on the low end. Last year on my hunting bow I had way more, but I've been doing more with my target bow this year than I did the previous year. So that being said, there's quite a few things that I may look at changing. This whole bow may end up becoming a backup bow because there's a couple things I'm considering buying that have become my primary bow, but this is what I'm using this year as of now. If it changes, I'll let you guys know, but I've been very happy with this setup. It's done phenomenal. I know out to about 85 yards I'm accurate with it where I'd be comfortable shooting something at that distance. Not that I'm ever going to, but I am very, very comfortable with this bow and have been shooting it really well. So very happy with that setup. Like I said, there's a couple things that are definitely going to change on here, but if I keep this bow, I'll have no problems with that either. We'll see what comes out this year. We'll see if Hoyt releases anything I really like. We'll see if Matthews does. A couple rumors I've heard floating around that pique my interest with Hoyt, and Elite has a couple rumors floating around that would pique my interest with them as well. So that being said, that's the gear that I am going to be running this year. Oh, I forgot. Sorry about that. I am running a simple peep in here. It's got a 1 power verifier in there. It runs everything I need it to and does very well. So that being said, that truly is the full setup for what I'm going to be running this year. Camo and stuff, that's going to be all perspective and kind of dependent on the year. I run Under Armour's camo. I have this will be my second year running it, and it works for me. It's all good, comfortable clothing as well. The only thing that's different is next weekend is our youth hunt here in Wisconsin, so I have to wear some orange out when I go out on public land. So we'll see what happens there. But that's kind of what I'm running, but it's really a personal preference. As for case wise, normally this just goes into a traditional soft case, but when I travel, which I've been doing a lot more of and I'm doing for this hunt coming up, I have an elevation case that has wheels and everything on it. It's more of a travel case, so that's what this thing rides in. Other than that, that's all I've got for you guys